Everyone turn on your microphones, please. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that a notice of this meeting has been made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and mailing to the officially designated newspapers listed the meeting dates annually, indicating by this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7 p.m. on Monday, July 17, 2023.
Chandra Barjani,
Here.
Amy Lawrence,
Here.
Virginia Truitt,
Here.
Joseph Caulfield,
Here.
Vice Chair Jessica Blatt,
Here.
Chair Terry Whitner.
Here. Okay, so first we're going to have approval of minutes of 5/15/23. Those minutes were circulated. Does anybody have any corrections or changes to those minutes? Who's eligible on that?
Ashley, 1, 2, 3. I think everyone.
Everyone? Okay.
Ashley, Chandra, Amy, Shannon, Virginia, Joe, Jessica Craig.
In that case, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of 5/15/23?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 5/15/23.
Thank you.
I can second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, next up, we have a bunch of memorializations to cover. First up, we have calendar 39/22/23. Thomas Bayer, 1 Nottingham Road, Short Hills.
Right. Can I jump in on this for a second?
Feel free.
So this was a resolution that was originally proposed for adoption at a prior meeting. And as it turned out, we understood that the applicant was going to either appear before the HPC or receive some comments from the HPC. I know that we received a commentary, or at least I did, dated July 13th of 2023, and I'm going to read it on June 28th, 2023. The HPC, the Township of Milburn, received the proposed architectural plans for advisory opinion located at 1 Nottingham Road, Robin Hood Cottage. Attached historic contents, see pages A5 and A6 of revised proposed plans that shows the addition to the rear of the home, specifically the new proposed roof lines on the addition. See updated 6/5/23 attached plans. The applicant volunteered to present the plans for comment and review, and the HPC recommendation was that they had no objection to the new proposed plan dated June 5th, 2023, submitted by the applicant, and that the change does not affect the existing approved variance relief approved on May 1st, 2023 by the zoning board. So I think there was a concern that before the board considered adoption of that resolution, that the HPC quote unquote weighed in. Now that they've weighed in, my suggestion would be, subject to the board's comment, that the resolution simply be amended to reference this HPC recommendation and these attached plans so that it is all part of the same record, given that those plans do not affect in any way, shape, or form the variance relief for consideration provided by the board.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
So in that case, we'll vote on this. Who's eligible?
Eligible are Chandra, Amy, Regina, Joseph, Jessica.
So including the changes and corrections that were noted by our board attorney, are there any other comments, questions, or corrections for this resolution? Well, one of the people who are named, please make a motion.
I'll move approval with the noted inclusions from our attorney.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Amy with a second.
Yes.
Chandra Barjani,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Virginia Truitt.
Yes.
Joseph Caulfield,
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Next, we have the calendar 39/19/23 Live Bread Holdings LLC, 257 Essex Street in Milburn. Any changes or corrections to that memorialization? Who do we have eligible on that one?
Chandra, Regina, Joseph, Jessica Craig.
If there are no other changes or corrections, can I have a motion in this case?
I can make a motion for case 39/19/23.
Okay, Regina?
I'll second.
Regina on the second. Thank you.
Chandra Rajani,
Yes.
Regina Truitt,
Yes.
Joseph Caulfield,
Yes.
Jessica Blatt,
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes. Next, we have calendar 390722, Gary Plowman and Michelle Miller at 79 Chestnut Street in Milburn. Who's eligible for that? So, you know, this was
Okay.
a
Eligible
vote.
for this is Chandra, Regina, Jessica.
I'll make a motion to approve calendar number 3907-22.
Second?
Chandra Rajani,
Yes.
Regina Truitt,
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Next, we have calendar 387822, Paul DeLeon at 19 Bodwell Terrace in Milburn. Any corrections or changes? If not, who's eligible?
Amy, Regina, Joe, Jessica, Craig.
One of the names, can you please make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve calendar 3878-22.
Thank you, and second.
Second?
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Regina Truitt,
Yes.
Joseph Caulfield,
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes. Next, we have calendar 392023, Bharat Sadula at 2 Brentwood Terrace in Short Hills. Who's eligible?
Chandra, Amy, Regina, Jessica, Craig.
Any corrections or changes to 392023? If not, can I have a motion to adopt?
I can move approval for 39-2023.
Thank you, Chandra. Second.
I'll second.
Amy with a second.
Chandra Rajani,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence.
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes, calendar 392323, Citizens Bank, 101 JFK Parkway in Short Hills. Any corrections or changes? If not, we have a
Chandra, Amy, Regina, Jessica, Craig.
motion, please.
I'll move approval calendar 3923-23.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
Regina.
Chandra Rajani.
Yes.
Amy Lawrence.
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes. Lastly, calendar 392723, Charles Schwab and Company, 350 Milburn Avenue in Milburn. Any corrections or changes? Who do we have?
Chandra, Amy, Regina, Jessica, Craig.
Can I have a motion in this case, please?
Move approval calendar 392723.
And a second.
I can second.
Thank you, Chandra.
Chandra Rajani.
Yes.
Amy Lawrence.
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Jessica Blatt.
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes. Okay, that takes us to our cases for this evening. So calendar 391022, which is carried from 5123, which is 111 Holdings, 44 Essex Street's location. That case is going to be moved to October 2nd. Okay, so it will be heard on the 2nd and potentially the 16th. So if you are here on that case this evening, it will not be heard tonight. So please check the website for any other corrections on that, but there will be no further notice.
And we did receive a
Extension.
extension of time, actually through the end of November of 2023 by the applicant. The applicant also requested by letter bearing today's date that the matter be carried to October 2nd with no further notice, but that they also be placed first on the agenda, given the date upon which the application was deemed complete. So for members of the public, the expectation is in fact that that application on October 2nd will proceed first that evening. And potentially be carried, that application will, to October 16th, should that application not be completed that evening.
Okay, so next we're going to juggle the order today. So we're going to leave the Canubra case to last. So they're going to enjoy the evening here. Thank you for that. First up, we're going to have calendar 392423. Applicant is Anthony and Andrea Melchior. Location is 150 Western Drive. Counselor, how are you this evening?
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good job.
Matthew Kapalecchia, attorney for the applicant.
Could you just wait a minute?
Sure. C-O-P as in Peter, P as in Peter, O-L-E-C-C-H-I-A. Applicants are the owner of 150 Western Drive in the R3 zone. The property is currently conforming to the zoning regulations. The applicant is seeking to install a front yard fence as well as a driveway gate, wrought iron driveway gate, at the approximate height of 6 feet. The reason for the application is primarily to enhance the safety and security of the property. My client's property has been the subject of some police activity in the past, and they want to enhance the security. Currently in the property, there is some mature landscaping, but that mature landscaping does not prohibit trespassers on the property. As a result, they're seeking to install the gate in the front yard, as well as the fencing, as well as the driveway gate in the front yard. The application is seeking variance relief from section 609(6)A of the zoning regulations. I have, as an expert testimony, should the board be inclined, Andrew Clark, who could testify to any of the site plan questions that the board may have.
Bring me up to speed on the security concerns.
So primarily,
I live a block away, so it's like to think
Yeah.
about a relatively safe neighborhood, but
two primary incidents.
But outside 200 feet?
outside 200 feet.
Okay, so I'm
Two primary incidents gave rise to this application. Specifically, there was an incident in which the applicant had a motor vehicle stolen from their driveway. Individuals trespassed, stole the vehicle from their driveway. A second incident occurred where police were chasing some suspects and chased the suspects onto my client's property. As a result, the police had to intervene and arrest the suspects on the property. So my client just doesn't feel comfortable allowing such, open wide access to his property. It is a rather large lot, so as a result, he wants to enhance the security.
Do you have any evidence about other front yard fences and gates in the neighborhood?
Mr. Clark?
Why don't you come on up? I'm gonna swear you in if you're gonna do a testimony. Do you want him to answer that question?
Oh, you,
I haven't actually counted.
Okay. okay, I can answer that question. I know there is a front yard fencing on a property on Highland Street. I think it's 121 Highland Street, which has the front yard fence there.
121 Highland. Okay. You're aware that has a pool in the front yard, right?
I'm not aware of that.
That's why that's there. So that's because it has to be there. So it's just the way that property was laid out here. So probably Western Drive didn't exist when they
Probably.
put that in, and then that pool was put there. So I'm not sure that's the best example. You got anything else for us?
I do not.
Okay, carry on.
So I'll answer any questions, other questions the board may have.
Anyone have any other questions?
Are there any other properties on that road, Western Drive, which have front yard gates and secured?
I'm not aware of any other property on that side of the street, which my client's property is.
Anything else? Jessica?
Yeah, just because I know that there's a lot of construction going on right now. There are two entrances to the driveway, or there's gonna only be one entrance when
I believe once the construction is completed, there's only going to be one
that
entrance.
one main
I do know that there are some pending construction permits that are on file, so I don't know what the final plan is going to look like, but I believe it's only going to be
Well,
one.
I'm looking,
Yeah,
Matt, at your plan, and your plan is showing front yard fence all across the front yard of Western Drive. You're also showing on the plan proposed gates in not one but two locations. Both at the driveway adjacent, closer to the home, and also what appears to be a graded second drive where there's an identification for a temporary stone driveway, but there is a gate being proposed there as well. And
Yes.
then the fence continues all the way to the end of the road, adjacent to Lot 2, heading east.
I apologize, I did misspeak. It is a U-shaped driveway that's being proposed.
So the fence, like, just to be clear, the fence actually is all across the front and then up both sides, you're proposing, correct?
That is correct.
And are there any properties in the area, forget about the fence for the moment, that just have one gate or two gates?
I believe the Highland property was the property that had,
That does not drive.
that's not a driveway gate there? It was. I'm not aware of any.
No further questions, so please continue testimony.
So I'm seeking just for the board's approval to grant the variance for the fencing and the driveway gate.
Any further testimony from your witness or?
No, I believe so.
I actually have a few more questions.
Sure.
How many bays, or garages does this property have?
Presently, it has 3.
And the fence is proposed to be behind the landscaping?
That is correct. That is correct. It's going to be adequately shielded from the street.
Any other questions from board
So
members?
this is for a 6-foot fence, if I could ask, and does the variance, do they need a variance for a 4-foot fence?
Yes.
You can't have a fence in the.
With no fence in the front yard at all? And this is for 2 gates or what?
There's 2 gates.
2 gates, so, all right, so fence and then 2.
And what, do you provide, and I apologize if I missed it, a detail for the actual gates, including locking mechanisms?
I can provide that. We don't have the detail as of that. Should the board grant the relief, we can provide the detail on the
How
locking.
high would those be?
So the gate at the archway would be 7 foot, that the height would be, but it would be matching the pillars of 6 feet.
So those pictures that you included in your application are not the actual ones?
They're not the actual ones, they're renderings.
Got it. And they would be supported by what, some stone pillars or
Some
something?
stone pillars, yes.
Any other questions?
How far back from the street will this proposed fence be located? From the front of the property?
About 6 or 7 feet. I mean, I don't have the actual dimensions, but it's about 6 feet.
6 feet from the property line, 6 feet from the front
From-
property line.
From Western Drive, 6 feet?
Yes,
No.
From the property line.
Property.
from the property line, from the property
And from the
line.
street though is,
From the
From the
line,
street
yeah.
is fencing, what do you have, a 15-foot line?
It's
It
more
looks
like
like it's about 12.
15.
15? Yeah.
15 feet.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anything up here? Amy? Jessica? Okay. Any other questions? I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Who'd like to go first? Oh, yeah. Any questions from the audience? Sorry. It's been a while. Any comments from the audience regarding this application? Now I'll close the public portion. Board members, what say you?
I'll start with this one. I'm mixed on this application, because I don't love the idea of fences in front yards, especially on streets where we don't have them. And there really are no other fences in front yards on Western Drive. There certainly are no gated driveways on Western Drive. The reason that I'm mixed, that it's not a hard no for me, is because there is a lot of heavy landscaping on the property. So in terms of the fence, I don't know that it's going to really be that visible, especially if the applicant is willing to make sure to adequately screen it and maintain that screening. So it really comes down to the driveway gate for me. And I'm really mixed. The security concern, I read the police report and the applicant doesn't know if their daughter left the keys in the car, but I mean, just based on my experience living in this town, all of the car thefts have been because there's keys left in the cars. This is a house that has a 3-car garage. So there's definitely room to, put cars in the garage, especially once the house is, the construction's complete. So it's just kind of, weighing both sides, and I'd be curious what everyone else on the board has to say.
So I'm gonna jump in next. I do not find this to be in keeping with the neighborhood. That's first of all. To gate this property, there's nothing else around it gated. I don't see why this would need to be gated. I don't think this house is any more or less of a security concern than any other house in the neighborhood. I would not want to see a 6-foot fence in the front yard. I think that's too extreme. It's just too high, and then with a 7-foot gate, it's just over the top. So I think there's adequate screening. The house is not even easy to see from the street as it is, so it's really well screened now. So I'm not sure what a gate is going to do, or a fence across the front yard is going to do. So I would not be in favor of this application. Go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
And so I agree with the comments that have been said first, and I apologize to the applicant for I understand how hard it must be to have police activity on the property. It's happened to me in my house, and it is unsettling. But I would say the fence is probably not going to fix that from car thefts, because someone could easily come over the fence and steal the car, and then the motion detector would open the gate. But I do understand how horrible that must be to have any kind of crime on your property. However, we have to be consistent with how we treat all of our applicants, and when people come in front of the board, we have to compare what you're saying with what the law reads and how the ordinance is stated, and consider what hardships or what other criteria would allow us to supersede the ordinance. And I would say for me, it doesn't meet that criteria, so I would not be in favor of this application.
And I'm the same, and I kind of empathize with the situation here. But it seems like it's no different from any other property we have in this town, and these car thefts have been rampant. So it's just unfortunate that it happened to your client as well. And I would say that it doesn't protect the comments that were made from what you were trying to achieve here. So from that perspective, I don't see a compelling case.
I'll throw it back to you. Do you want to vote on this?
I'd like to withdraw the application at this time, if I may.
Very well.
Thank you.
Next up, we have calendar 39/28/23, Ricky Liswan, 52 Greenwood Drive, Milburn.
Who's gonna testify? My swear.
Just in case.
Okay, just raise your right hand. Do you swear from testimony you're about to give tonight to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your name for the record, please.
Celia Leon.
Daniel, do the next.
Thank you.
Mr. Dubda, how are you this evening?
Good, nice to see you.
Why don't you grace us with your credentials?
Thank you. Okay, Syracuse University undergraduate degree. Received my master's degree of architecture from NGIT. Can't remember. It's been so long. I was licensed in 2001, and my license is current and in effect. I've been practicing residential architecture for about 20 years now, and I've appeared before this board and others.
Thank you. Your credentials are accepted by this board, so
Thank you.
tell us about your combined side yard setback.
Wonderful. So the existing house, we're proposing in addition to the rear yard to allow us, three things. On the lower level, the garage level, the basement level, we'd like to change the current situation so they have to drive around the back of the property to get to a one-car garage, which is a little awkward. So the proposal is to add a two-car garage at the lower level. On top of the two-car garage, add a family room, a covered deck, and a deck. And above that, a master bedroom suite. So the end result would be going from, I think, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath to a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a improved and larger family room with some interior reconfigurations to the house. Primarily, the front of the home will not be touched at all. There'll be no change to the streetscape. So the project is located in the rear, and the only variance we are seeking is the combined side yard setback. We have a 50-foot wide lot in the R6 zone where 60 is the minimum, so we're 10 feet less than required. However, we're fairly deep, so that's why there are no building coverage issues, lot coverage issues, FAR issues. And through the design of the architecture of the addition, I stepped in the first floor about 1.5 feet. And then when I got up to the second floor, we pushed that in 4 feet, so we avoided, we conformed to the 8-foot side yard setback, and then we conformed to the side to height. But we need to combine because let's say we wanted a 20-foot deep garage, and we need the room to get into the garage, so we're at 20 feet to get in. I couldn't push it any closer to the other property to conform, because we only need about a foot, 1.3 feet of combined side yard setback. So the alternative is to push it closer to the other property line and make it tougher to get in, or reduce the width of the garage or depth of the garage, which will be less than 20, so it's not so great. So we're here seeking that variance. No trees will come down. I studied the adjoining house next door, and I don't think we're going to negatively impact them by not meeting the combined side yard setback. And that's the application.
You got a 60-foot wide lot, would this problem exist?
No, sir.
And the 1.3 feet, any way to move it and still have a functional garage or turnaround?
No, not well. So the alternative is to make it tougher to get in or make the depth of the garage smaller, which we looked at, and that's why we felt it important to come tonight.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Dubna?
Just one. The addition on the rear of the house. Do you know how far, so when I went in the backyard, you can see the rear of the other houses, and it looks like some have also done some.
Yes.
How does that line up with the adjacent?
It aligns up with their deck, so they don't necessarily have the big addition, but they have a deck. So we're going about 26.
On which side? If
If
I'm
I'm
facing the house. from
Facing the house from the back, the one to the right. So
To the left has a deck, I saw, not to the right.
Do I have a deck as well?
They both have, but
Yes.
one is very close to your property, and I think that goes to, is that the left or
I have,
if one facing the
Wait,
front,
you
the
guys
house.
you guys are gonna speak, I'm gonna need to swear you in.
They did.
So-
Oh, we did.
You
We did.
Okay, good. So fine, so step up to the mic.
So, yeah, just to identify whoever's speaking.
So I think if you're looking at the house, right, the deck will be on the right. The house on the right side, looking at the house. But if you're looking to the street, then will be on the left.
No, that's our. She's asking about the neighbor's deck.
Yeah,
The neighbors.
No,
No, the other neighbor.
the other neighbor.
I
Oh,
think it's the other neighbor.
oh, the other neighbor, sorry. Then looking in the street, it should be on the right then.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Get your answer?
Sort of.
So,
I mean, it's an answer, yes, it's just.
Yeah, it's just that, I parked our car all the way at the back, right? Because when we moved in 10 years ago, somebody was trying to break into the car when we park in the front. So we like to park the car all the way to the back. Nobody can see that, right? It kind of makes sense. They don't know what car you have, right? It's all the way at the back. So the only thing is that we want to put a garage, a roof underneath because it's getting really hot inside the car every time we get in, especially in the afternoon. So we park all the way at the end of the asphalt driveway. It's easy to get in, but when you do an extension and putting car garage very close to your home, it's really hard to get in, especially without that 1 feet. It's really tough to get in. You have to do a couple times. Sometimes you might hit the house or something like that. That's my only concern. Yeah.
okay.
I have one follow-up question. Separate, but so the house, this addition is basically where it's extending the house in its current condition.
Correct.
So it's a Dan question.
Also.
I'm with you.
It's an architect question.
The driveway goes further past, the existing driveway is further past where the addition will be.
That understood. Is the side yard setback a new, this condition, is it a new condition or an existing one? Because the house itself is already.
No, the existing house is existing non-conforming, it's 6.9,
Yeah.
and then we're pushing it to 8, or 8.2.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? What up? So these are for questions only, okay?
Will there be comments?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So please state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Sarah Sherman, Sara Sherman. I live at 42 Greenwood Drive. I am interested in knowing what assurances we will have that stormwater runoff will be addressed. We have a serious ponding and flooding problem in the Greenwood Bowl behind these houses. I'm just 5 houses away from them. And so I would like to know what assurances we have that the township engineer or whoever will look at this will make some accommodation to address these concerns.
So this application will be reviewed by the township engineer for stormwater runoff, proper drainage, everything has to conform. This board does not have any direct oversight over water runoff. So that is the oversight of the engineering department. And I'm assuming you will be, all your plans will
Yeah,
be.
for sure, this project will require the town engineering and stormwater management system in place, so whatever's happening now, this, as a result, will get better. So there'll be no runoff from the property. So it's an opportunity to, like, when people renovate, to say, okay, now you have to collect your stormwater, manage it, and before there was no regulation, so as a result, it should get better.
So is
Improve
it, I'm sorry,
It should improve the runoff from the storms and
so might that include a requirement for a dry well
Yes,
or some
for
kind of
sure.
accommodation like that?
project of this size, yes, for sure.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that on your plans? No, you don't have that yet.
But it's definitely big enough to require it.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
just to address the question, just let's do it this way. First of all, are there any lot coverage or building coverage variances that are triggered by this application? So the application is conforming to both of those bulk standards for the R6 zone,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And then how much additional impervious cover, if any, are you adding as a result of the application?
Okay. We are going from, I can do the math, 3,363 to 3,568.
I would say that's a concern. I did not understand that there would be increased impervious surface. I think that's.
Well, I think what the witness is stating though is that although there's an increase, which would be by virtue of an addition, that it's still in conformity with the zoning requirements.
So we're not here tonight to actually grant any type of variance relief to the structure in itself, meaning FR ratio, coverage, that type of thing. It's strictly for setbacks from the side yard.
So
I
did you
understand.
do the calculation?
Yeah.
What is,
The net result will be 205 square feet of new impervious coverage.
and that's going to be presumably addressed
For sure.
via the stormwater management system that will
Yes.
be capturing that 205 square feet of excess.
Yes.
Are there dry wells on the property right now?
No.
So you kind of, it might work out for your benefit.
Definitely.
I would hope.
Yeah. And you have any comment, while you're here, do you have any comment that you'd like to say? We'll transition to that as soon as there's other questions.
My comment would only,
Yes,
Well, one second, yeah, we're gonna swear you in real
Sorry.
Raise
quick.
your right hand, please.
yes,
Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give in this proceeding be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
yes.
State your name again and your address for the record.
Sarah, Sara Sherman, Sherman, 42 Greenwood Drive. My comment is brief, and I'll also preface that by saying I'm a member of the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee here in town, so this is a topic on my mind at all times. I've lived on that block for 30 years. We are veterans of Hurricanes Floyd, Irene, and Tropical Storm Ida, so we know full well what it's like to have 3 feet of water in our basements. Or in the case of the recent July 4th heavy rainfall, significant ponding in the backyard. I can't see from my backyard what goes on their property, so I don't know what kind of ponding they have. But I know for those of us further east, that is certainly the case. So my concern would be that, as I said, any increase in impervious surface that would affect the ponding or increase the amount of flooding in our homes would be a concern. So I will certainly follow how the engineer looks at this. And I would hope that this will mitigate any possibility of further flooding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to put a comment on what you're saying.
Staff, yeah, please.
So every time when there's heavy rain at all, there's no water on my backyard at all. But if I look to the left seems to be a lower portion. You can definitely see water, but on my lot is completely dry, nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Dubin, any other comments?
No,
Let's
thank you.
make. In that case, any other questions from the board for the applicant, Mr. Dubin, or?
Just a quick question about the stormwater management. I really thank the community member for bringing that to our attention. So is the stormwater management devices, strategies listed in your plans anywhere?
No, not yet.
They're not. So.
Outside
okay.
of purview.
It's outside our purview, so we just have to figure whether you're going to do it.
No.
Well,
Get a
no,
permit
township.
without it.
you can't get a permit with
It
that.
has to get reviewed by the engineer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it'd be outside our purview to get a condition.
All applications then go to the engineering department, just to make sure that it doesn't trigger things like stormwater management.
Okay.
There's an
Yeah.
agency that has a say, so to speak.
Thank you.
Any other questions? for the board? Then I'll close the public portion. What comments do we have?
It seems, the lot is, it's not a standard width lot. So there is some hardship related to that. And the house itself, you said already has an existing non-conformity in the side yard setback. So it seems to me that you couldn't easily develop this lot with an addition without, having the same issue. So I personally, I'm okay, I believe with what you're intending to do. The only concern and the thing I raised about the question about the neighbors and how far they're, because what this also does is it creates a condition of kind of a wall that's fairly close to the neighboring house, but no one from the neighboring property has come to say anything tonight, and, I assume if it lines up with the houses behind it, it's, not so much of an issue. That's the only concern I might have. So that's my.
Any other comment? I'll support this application. I think the request is fairly modest. Gets the cars in the garage, which I think is great. And, obviously we have no other variances that run with this in terms of the overall size of the home. So I would support this application under C1. Joe, anything? Good?
Actually, just to bring your attention, I mean, they're set back now on the right hand, or if you're looking at the house on the right hand side, it's 7 feet. With the proposed extension, they're going to push that back even further to 8 feet. So it is modest, I think. It works for me. Thank you.
In that case, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve calendar 3928-23.
In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Chandra Harvani,
Yes.
Amy Morris,
Yes.
Gina Truitt,
Yes.
Joseph Culto,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes.
Rick Hutchins.
Yes. Good luck with the project.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next up, calendar 393223, Megha Maharajan, 130 Highland Avenue.
Both of you just raise your right hand, please.
Right, do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give in tonight's proceeding to be the truth, whole truth, and but the truth?
Yes.
Your names for the record, please spelling your name. One of this.
Megha Mahajan, MEGHA, MAHAJAN.
And Rahul Mahajan, RAHUL MAHAJAN.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please proceed with your request.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come and address this issue in front of you. We wanted to, so our lot is actually fenced on all sides except for one. So it has 3 sides of the lot are perimeter fenced. The only one side is the part that goes from the house to the existing fence. And the variance relief that we're asking for is that you allow us to put a fence in that area so that we can block off children and things running off onto Highland Avenue. And I can present, there are 2 different topics that I'd like to discuss. One is whether or not a fence over there is permitted and get relief on that. And the other one is the height of the fence. So I'll address the first one, the need for the fence. The need for the fence, the 3 primary reasons why we really want it there. One, from a complete safety standpoint. So we have little children. We are on the highest hill on Highland Avenue. Regardless of what you tell the children, they run after the ball when it goes down. And it happened in front of me. My son was playing late last fall, which prompted me to get the application going. The ball, it's a hill. It doesn't matter where you're playing on the hill. All balls roll down. As I said, 3 sides are perimeter fence, so it's not a problem there. But when the ball gets kicked on the side, it goes down onto Highland Avenue. So this creates a safety issue for my son, who ran right behind it, and I, of course, yelled, and I dragged him back. But it also creates a safety issue for all the commuters that use that really busy Highland Avenue. I was so glad that we did not cause an accident, because natural instinct of a driver is to swerve to avoid any object that just randomly shows up. So I'm glad we were able to find the ball. I'm happy to pass it along if you want to take a look.
Does that mean I have to keep it?
No.
My son thinks I've taken it to get it fixed
Yeah,
today, so.
Well,
Just look at it.
right, we want to be honest with your children, and we're not going to mark that. We're going to take judicial notice that a ball was injured, as you described it.
Yeah, and the point of bringing this is just that this is normal. I mean, these are young kids, their friends are young, and they should be able to play on the property. And as I said, it's not only a safety issue for them, but also for anybody driving on Highland Avenue. The second point, which is related to the first one, is that I know Highland Avenue is not a county road, but it is a main road. It's a busy road. It is a double yellow line road. So it's not a side road where, these types of accidents may not lead to an injury. So that was the second point. And the third thing that I wanted to bring to the attention of everybody was, I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the cryptic language of all these rules and ordinances. I spent a lot of time rereading it again and again, and I do believe that the rules are there for a reason. It seemed, and please feel free to correct me, but it seemed that the reason why front yard fences are not allowed is to make sure that they don't cause a line of sight issue. They talk about the side triangle. We are literally 110 feet away from Highland Avenue. And I think the reason why this has even come up to you is because we have the Lakeshore Drive on the other side. And, we just want to point out that we have a 6-foot fence there already.
Grandfather.
Which has been grandfathered. All we're asking for is letting us put a fence from the house to the existing fence. We do not want to go past it. We don't want to touch the existing fence. That is all we're asking for.
Pictures.
Oh, yes, and I can show the pictures. I'm sorry, I only have 3 copies. That shows the pictures of what the view is from the Lakeshore Drive where we're putting the fence, and also from Hartshorn Drive, where we're putting, Highland Avenue, where we're putting the fence.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yes.
Before you hand that out, how many photos do you have there total?
Total, I have
3.
4, no, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 photos.
Okay, so we're going to mark as A1
Yes.
a series of photos, 9 in total. And did you take these photos?
I did today.
And do you believe they accurately depict the views from the areas from which you took the photographs?
Yes, I took them from the street.
From the street? They're all taken from
They're
the
all
street?
taken from the street. I mean, 2 photos are where we're putting the fence. I wanted to do a close-up for you, so you can see exactly where it is.
Okay, so why don't you hand out.
I-
Keep one so
starting
you
with
can.
Ms.
I have one.
Lawrence.
So there are 3 copies. I'm sorry, my printer gave up on me. So we will keep the not so great copy for us. We can talk through it.
So let's talk about the materials you're gonna use.
Yes, so it is going to be heavy-duty aluminum black fence, which is going to be consistent in terms of quality with the neighborhood fences, especially our next-door neighbors. And we had applied to HPC for the approval because we knew that that would be part of the
And what did they
process.
tell you? I'm sorry.
They're fine with it. Allison said.
Yeah, they were fine with it.
So we have a certificate of appropriateness from the HPC.
Yeah.
Regarding this property dated March 21st, 2023.
Yes.
And there's work approved as described. Talks about 6 feet high black powder coated aluminum fence.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Those portions of the rear yard, and then 1 5-foot wide gate located at the pool entrance and an 8-foot wide gate near the house.
Yes.
Yes.
There'll also be a step fence, each 8 feet long section to the left of the house connected to the existing fence.
That is what they had recommended that we
Right,
do.
and are you willing, as a condition of approval, if this board votes favorably as this application, to implement the recommendations?
Absolutely,
Yes,
100%.
And then it says this portion of the fence will only be 4 feet high. Is that acceptable?
I believe it was a 6-foot fence that they had initially approved. And then there was a revision to it. And the question that we had for you, and we are okay with whatever the board recommends, because honestly, for me, this is a safety problem. But the reason why we wanted to come to you for 6 foot, and I'm okay with whatever you guys decide, is because the perimeter fences right now are all 6 foot. So it's gonna look a little bit like patchwork, because you have 4 foot going to 6 foot. All the 3 sides are 6
I
foot.
measured that fence on Lakeshore, it's 4 feet.
No,
It's
it's
6
not.
feet in the back.
It is 6 feet where it is
Sorry,
needed.
there's 2 sections. The 4-foot section, we're gonna remove it because it looks ugly.
And it's all the way in the front.
It's
You don't
only
want it there.
on the lake shore, so if you think of the corner, the lake shore section, only the first, I would say, 70 feet is 4 feet.
Well, that's sort of
After
where it
that,
is
it's
within
6
the
feet.
intercept.
No, that's not
No,
where.
it's gonna be
Wait,
far
one
back.
guys at a time.
It's gonna be far back.
All right, well, they've stipulated 4 feet, so.
Right.
So that was the question that I had, that if it would be okay. And and again, the only reason I bring it up is,
No, the HPC has stipulated 4 feet, so it's,
I mean, I have another letter from them that says 6 feet. I think there was some
They
confusion there.
revised.
well, this is their certificate of appropriateness that doesn't apply to us. It clearly states 4.
So,
That's the second one.
okay.
So this is it. Also, as a potential condition of approval, full screening of this fence,
Yes,
meaning that
Oh, yeah.
you'd have to put
more foliage. We are
more
happy to do it.
foliage, and I would
Yes.
stipulate a minimum of 5 feet above the root ball planting.
We
Absolutely.
actually did that already as a first step to
Some of
stop.
them are dead. We are going to replace them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We already put skip laurels first. Before coming to you, we're like, can we solve my son running to the road with trees or, skip
Shrubs,
laurels instead of putting a fence? We did it. Some of them are dead, we'll replace them, but it didn't work. These
Right.
kids.
Those
very
aren't 5
clever.
feet high, though.
They're 4.5 right now,
Yeah.
but we will replace, all the new ones will be about 6 feet.
Right.
5 feet,
So
6
that
feet.
way we
Well,
will,
at least 5 feet
At
above
At
the
least
root
least
ball.
5, yeah.
so,
So-
yeah.
So all fencing on your property will be screened by landscaping?
No, just the
what's-
new,
I think the new
one,
fencing.
yeah.
Just the new fence?
Just
Just
the
the
new
new
fencing.
one, yeah. The one that we have in variance for. The other is not being,
So in your rear yard, where you're proposing, you have those trees that are there now.
Mhm.
Those, I think one's dead, but those would remain and your fence would be behind those
Behind
trees?
yes, right behind the skip laurels.
Got it. Okay, any questions? Other questions?
Yeah, quick question. Have you considered another type of fencing that wouldn't require a variance? I believe if you went from like the back corner of your house to the back of the property.
It
you
would
We
still.
have, we have considered it, and we also, and so from the back corner of the house, that would still require variance, because I spoke with Eileen about it. It apparently, it's a front yard, that whole section is a front yard, considered a front
And
yard as opposed to.
Even if you're in the backyard.
Yeah, because it's Lakeshore Drive, actually.
Because Lakeshore Drive becomes a front yard for us.
all the way through.
Because it's a corner considering
Yeah.
Lake Shore, even though Crystal Shore as well. Okay. So you'd still need a variance even to do that,
Yes.
a different type of fencing.
Yeah.
Or different smaller fence, but you currently have a fence around the pole.
Yeah.
We have fence all around our
We have
property and
fences
the pool everywhere. We're fenced in
Just
except for that
not-
one spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
just-
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Any comments from the audience? Then I will close the public portion of the meeting. Board members, what are your thoughts?
I'm happy to approve a 4-foot fence as considered by the certificate of appropriateness from HDC. I think it's-
It's an easy case. Height of the property and the distance from the avenue, Highland Avenue, where this is put, I think it's a no-brainer from a safety perspective and from everything that you mentioned, so very
Just for,
supportive.
sorry to cut you off, the variance request is for 6 feet, correct?
No, it was for a fence.
For any fence. It'll accept-
A fence,
For a
whatever you
fence in
look
the
for.
front yard, that's the
Okay,
variance.
all right, and it's up to us to decide 4 versus 6. Okay.
I'd like to also add the stipulation that the fence is adequately screened with
Sure.
greenery.
Absolutely.
About 5 feet above the root ball, which might mean that you need to remove some of the ones that are still okay.
Yeah.
And replace them with taller ones,
Yes.
maybe just transplant them somewhere else.
And again, just to clarify, that's just for the new
The new
fence
fence
Just
that
the
we're
new fence,
seeing,
yeah.
from the.
Highland
from
that
Avenue.
were
Highland.
considered the
Avenue.
variance.
Yes.
And can we put something in that it has to be maintained as well?
Yeah,
For the landscape.
Yeah.
Of course.
so that'll be 5 feet at planting. So the stuff you have there, no way, it's gonna have to come out, you gotta put taller stuff in.
I just want to say one thing. Skip laurels grow about 2 feet a year. So
If
by,
you choose skip laurel, I mean,
no, I'm just saying the ones we have, I measured, they're about 4.5 feet right now.
Right.
So come spring, they will be way above 5 feet.
They like some shade. So that might be why they're failing.
The one, I know the problem with the couple ones that we had.
Some shade.
Yeah, because I got it from 2 suppliers.
Yeah, they're
So-
beautiful.
And this will be stepped down, this is not run down the land for this also. This is a step fence.
Yeah. that's
It's
what
up to you. I mean, that it's up to you.
No,
If you
it's
want that,
exactly
then
as it
we'll do
states.
it.
It's exactly as it states.
We're
Steps-
okay with whatever.
Step fence, and it will go down
That's
4 feet
fine.
high. Then in that case, do I have a motion with the conditions that were mentioned?
I'll make a motion to approve this with stipulations as outlined, that the fence remain 4 feet tall, step down as described, and that the greenery in front of it be maintained.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good.
I can second.
Chandra Harjani,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Joseph Schofield,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your fence.
Good luck.
All right, next up. We have calendar 39/16/23.
Okay, here we go. Just because when they're testifying, they're, okay. Hi, good evening. My name is Hillary Ulz, ULZ, from Dempsey and Sheehan, representing the applicant, Canoe Brook Country Club, located at 1108 Mars Turnpike, Block 5304, Lot 1 in Milburn Township, and Block 901, Lot 1 in the city of Summit. The improvements proposed in this application are located entirely on the Milburn Township parcel, which is in the Conservation Recreation Zone. Canoe Brook Country Club has been located at the site for over 100 years and is a permitted use in the zone. The subject property is currently improved with a clubhouse, pool house, pool, golf course, tennis, cattle, and pickleball courts, as well as other structures related to those activities. As part of the club's master plan to upgrade and modernize the club, certain phased improvements have been approved by the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board and have been completed in the field, such as the clubhouse, the pool house, the pool, and the bag storage building, to name a few. The next phase improvements contemplated is to the practice range, which is the subject of the current application before this board. Currently, the practice range area consists of uncovered hitting tees, a storage shed, putting green, poles, nets, and some lighting. The improvements to the practice range are necessary to service the evolving requirements of the existing membership, upgrade and modernize this amenity so it is more functional, and to bring it into conformity with amenities offered at other clubs in the state. Specifically, the applicant proposes to construct a two-story, 2,777 square foot practice range building with attached covered and uncovered hitting bays and associated site improvements. The building and covered hitting bays have been designed to echo the architectural style of the club's campus and will enhance the aesthetics of this area of the property from what currently exists and will provide aesthetic harmony among the buildings throughout the club's property. In order to realize these improvements, the following relief is requested: classification of the site plan, preliminary and final major site plan, D6 height variance for maximum permitted height calculated from the average grade as well as from the lowest elevation to the highest point of the building, variance from the required setback from the property line of 75 feet 5 inches where 100 feet is required, and variance for the maximum height of a retaining wall of 13.32 feet where 6 feet is permitted.
So let me stop you real quick
Yeah.
there.
I'm conflicted out.
Okay, then you could head out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a member, so he was confusing. So you're still comfortable, you got clean sweep here?
Okay.
So in other words,
Right.
this is an application that triggers a D6 variance under the municipal land use law, which requires 5 affirmative votes for approval. We have only 5 eligible board members, so you have to go 5 for 5. You understand about res judicata, so if you have 1 no vote and you have 4 positive votes, that's a loss,
Yes.
right? So I assume that the fact that you're still up here, that you still want to present the application.
I'm just going to confirm with the applicant. So,
Hey, can I also, before you even confirm?
sure.
One of the things that you may want to discuss is the idea of proceeding with the application, and then once the application is done in terms of your case, you can then revisit the issue as to whether you might want to carry the application depending on how the application goes. That's up to you. So to possibly get additional voting board members, assuming that they review the tape and become eligible to vote.
And they can do that if we present this evening.
Well,
And
They
you
would
can
have
make a
to review it.
determination before you
As long as
close.
we don't go to
Yeah.
deliberation. and-
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Totally forgot about that. If you had to, I know.
Okay, we're going to proceed for now.
Right.
Hold on.
Yep.
Okay. You did receive a notice?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
hold on.
Oh, the phone.
34 current road. And my back here is
So let me snag here. I apologize for this.
Yes.
Yep, there we are, 134 Canoe Road.
Okay,
All right.
so Mr. Harjani also cannot participate in the application. That leaves you with only 4
Right.
votes. So unfortunately, we're gonna need to carry you to a date. where
Right, when can
you
we
have
get that in?
At least 5 eligible board members.
Yes.
If any way sooner than later would be great.
It's just that I have, I don't have that. I really don't have anything until October.
Right. So if you put 111 on the second, how much more do you have on the second?
I have nothing so far on the second. I have a few applications that I would need to do.
Then what's on the 16th?
Nothing yet.
So why don't put that on the second and then.
Would that be of October?
Because we only have one meeting in September because of Labor Day.
Nothing in August?
What is already scheduled? 5 on the 7th,
I mean, without reviewing those cases, you know, I
5
can
on
sometimes guess what it will take.
21st.
Tonight moves along quickly, you never know.
September 18th is that subdivision, which is,
Yeah, I know.
we're getting.
Well, let's,
That's the gift that keeps.
yeah, I mean, there also is a question of, in terms of age of the applications, and whether there may be some applications that are scheduled for September that may be quote unquote newer, right?
Yeah.
That haven't noticed
How about we
yet.
move that one, the subdivision?
Move that one to October?
Yeah.
Hey, just wait happens.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Just blame it on Ron.
Feel free to, it's fine.
So, and that's, what date is that then?
September 18th.
September 18th?
Okay,
Apologize for all this.
That's okay.
It's okay. Thank you.
Know.
we'll be back on September 18th.
Thank you, Ms. Halls.
Thank you. Okay.
With that, is there anyone in the audience, is there anything to discuss that's not on the agenda? In that case, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Just a second.
all those in favor?
Right.
Thank you.
Building, it's too late, it's summer, or winter.
Oh, no, that was.
Okay.
That's how government knows.